Previously on Kitbash Federation. And now, the continuation. Okay, Feds, we are back for another episode of Kitbash Federation. And when last we met, we were working on the back end of the Williamson.
Today we're using brains and cardboard. We're going to pre-plan a little bit before we get going with the plastic.
That shape works, so let's use it for real. There's a standoff to keep that thing lined up properly. I'm going to make the walls a little bit thicker, and I'm going to close it off on the back. I've reinforced these corners. This piece will determine how wide the walls will be, and that inside taper will make it more interesting overall. Now this piece is going to need special attention because at the end it has to match 3 different surfaces. You know, that looks pretty good. As a matter of fact, it's
not too shabby.
all right. The top edge of the walls are on. So now we're going to put in a false floor so that I can boost up this one piece I have planned to stick in that spot. I want it to have some visibility and it needs a booster. Remember that groove? Well, this is how we're going to use it. We're going to take that tooth, we're going to wedge it in there, glue it in place, and make sure that it has enough meat to hang over the edge of those walls we just made without being obnoxiously obvious. This is the spot putty that I'm using. I grabbed it from O'Reilly's. These are going to have to go. This thicker piece I cut just happens to be the right size to fill the space in under that top edge. That's getting in the way. Take a mark off of what's there. We need to take a bit off of the corner to make it fit that other angle. Let's see if this works. Just kind of slides right in. Nice and snug. Good. So we're gonna make one for that side. This will be the wall on the underside of, well, this part. I'll put an angle on it to match that slope. And with the magic of editing, viola. Some of that's going to get in the way though, so we need to carve out some extra space. Aside from the notches, there is the angled inner walls, which will accommodate the starboard engine piece, don't hate me, and I left some room along the bottom edge for this whole thing to slide comfortably into the rest of the part of the back bottom part of the ship. That tooth on the right isn't grabbing the way I need it to, so we're going to add on to it and extend it out a little bit.
Here's that piece I was talking about.
Found these two pieces. I don't know where they're from. Hang on. Those pieces I unplugged from there left a mark, so I'm going to put some feet underneath those shock absorbers, those suspension rods, so that they meet right inside where those circles are. those scars from the last piece. I got those pieces from Oleg off of ArtStation. I bought those 3D files and printed those for a couple of other projects. For about $5 to $7 you can get a pretty decent catalog of pieces. Very well done. Go check out Oleg at ArtStation. I'll put his link in the description below. Now, I learned about Oleg from Royal Skies on YouTube. His channel is full of all sorts of content, from tutorials, tips, tricks, shortcuts, shading, kit bashing, rigging, and more. A lot more. I highly recommend you check out his channel. Alright Feds, it is time to build the particle projection cannon. Just check out Pinterest or ArtStation for sci-fi cannon, mounted turret, or terms like that, and you'll get reference material that you don't know what to do with. But this is what I did with what I found. Once we have the basic dimensions of the pencil lead holder, we can bring that information into Blender and start working it from there. With enough editing, anyone can look like an expert in Blender. If you want to see a full build on the cannon, I can do a separate video for that, but I'll have to get to that later. For now, let's continue. There will be weaponry, and we have recently printed, comes along with these pieces, this one, but let me swing this around so I can show you. So we've got, so we've got this piece that goes in here, and it fits nicely, it spins around nicely. Then we've got this piece that goes in here. And this is the part that gets glued to the surface. I know what you're thinking. Those legs, they don't. Yeah, I know, I did that to the wrong piece. So we're going to actually have a different piece printed, but that doesn't look bad. And if this is glued to this, we don't actually need to make that other piece. But what goes in there is this thing, pencil lid case. So I'm gonna put that together, and then we're gonna see what we think. Might need a little bit more room there on that one. Looks a little offset. Might get in there. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. It kind of does. It clears it that way, and that's the way we wanted it to sit. We wanted it to come forward to carry it. It kind of works. Of course, this is on the bottom instead of being on the top, so it hits differently. Still just barely. Hang on a second. It looks like that, or like that. Which one do you like better?
I don't know. Anyway, the main thing is we put this here. I'm gonna put just a dab. Let's see if I don't. Okay, let's close that up. Yeah, it still works. It gives a little bit of a little bit of friction as well. But if we have those other thin pieces in here and on the other side, then we can probably, let's see, slide it in here just to see if it takes up enough space. And slide it in here. Is that too much? So then there's friction. So when we add that detail, we'll still have we'll be able to position it, and the friction will keep it still. Then we take this and we glue this only to that in there. Every time I look at something like this, I'm like, oh wait, you know, I could have done that, could have done this better, could have done that better. Okay, so hopefully the solvent is making it down into that little separation there and no further, you know what I mean? Like, so it still turns.
Vets, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for tuning in to Kitbash Federation. If you like these videos, target lock that like button and fire at will. Get on comms and open a frequency and share this channel with your friends.
Give me an open channel.
Continue to scan all sectors for future activity. Thank you, that will be all.
Thank you, that will be all.
God damn it, that's not all!
Let's get back to work.
I printed a bay for that. I measured here and here because that back wall is slanted. I measured this way and this way, and I came up with this. See how it's slanted? And it's slanted forward, so there's no floor. So let's put it in there and see how well it fits. Pretty sweet, huh?
Has anyone ever noticed that there aren't any devices devoted to the tractor beam? I've seen Star Wars, Star Trek, The Simpsons, but there's always just a beam of light coming from somewhere on a ship. I mean, there's never a device dedicated to the beaming of tractors. So I made a pair. The tractor beam emitters will eventually go on either side of the door there. And then you can see the top and the bottom are decorated with sizing tags and pieces of an Apple keyboard. So I'm doing this one freehand, and I'm carving through the spot putty and also the styrene underneath. As far as I know, there is no perfect way to make panel lines, so I'm using X-Acto knives, scribing tools, and files. More flat surfaces, more panel lines. Now, there are such things as scoring tools, but since I probably only have one, it will be very difficult to find, which is why the alternative is dragging the back side of your X-Acto blade across the plastic. Up near the front there, you can see there's a space underneath that other form that I have glued to it, and the space in front of it is kind of flat. You can see there's not a whole lot going on, so I'm going to layer up another piece under it. Seeing as how it's there, I might as well. And then that gives us something else to play with. These are keyboard keys. I know it, you know it, the ship knows it, they are everywhere. So I'm taking the opportunity to glue some pieces to them to disguise them from being so obvious. It kind of reminds me in The Expanse of when the Rocinante was disguised as a fuel carrier.
it's time to prime. All right, Feds, I'm gonna attempt to prime this. Demo adhesives attached. Parts ready for prime. We're gonna see how that works out. And then we're gonna take care of this bad boy as well. Got a fresh can of primer yesterday. And so let's go see what happens. Is it primed? Yes. And what does that do for us? That lets us see where we might have some discrepancies. Let's see. Remember, I had glued all this together, this part, and this whole huge thing. So then I noticed, and this is just me. See that? How it's raised up there, that corner. That one's nice and settled in. Well, we can't have that. Sin by doing this, but I'm using my ruler, the only flat piece of metal I have. You see it there? I wonder if you see where I'm going with this. I'm trying to slice it this way. Ooh. Soften it up. Ooh. That sounded worse than I wanted it to. Something flying out that way. Have to look for clean spots. Alright, I'm gonna have to turn off the camera so I can get a leverage on this, and I will get back with you guys when it's finished. I'll show you when it's off, what condition it's in. Alright, so we got it off. Luckily, this area here seemed to be the only place where we had decent contact. Minimal damage. Freshen this up. I've been looking for this piece, which looks like this piece. I've been looking everywhere. I can't see it. It is primer gray. There is nothing else that is colored primer gray besides that piece on the floor. I have no idea where it could have gone. I'm trying to remember where the sound was. But anyway, I got the piece off, so that's sanded. I got this more or less leveled out. I'm gonna replace it soon, and that's that.
Well, Feds, that's a wrap on another episode of Kitbash Federation. Thanks again for stopping by and visiting with me, as I hope to be with you all again as soon as possible. Don't forget to put a target lock on that like button, open a channel, and keep scanning. This is the Dry Dock, signing off.
Those are going to go on there.